Hi, in this video we will be looking at how to create an event when somebody scrolls down through my website till the very bottom. So we'll put up a trigger to try and capture all these events. So when people come down to my site and scroll down to 25% of my page, 50% of my page, and so on and so forth till 100%. So let's jump right in. We'll implement all these things through Google Tag Manager and send them as an event through Google Analytics, so we can capture them and build an audience back in Analytics and again push them into AdWords and try and do remarketing based on the activity they have done. So here we go. So this is the Google Tag Manager. So first what I'll do is I'll go to my website. This is the website for which we want to track the scroll depths and all. So what I'm firstly going to do is I'm going to set up variables. So first go to variables. Variables, again, they capture the value. So they are predefined variables which are in Google Tag Manager. So you see, if you come down here to variables, you have three things: scroll depth threshold, scroll depth units, scroll direction. So all you have to do is just select them, and you don't have to do anything. Just click on the cross button. So once you're done with this, what you have to do is you come to triggers, set up a new trigger, and let's give this trigger a name called scroll depth trigger, so it will be easy for us to identify when we implement the tag. And when you come to this trigger, you have an option which reads something like scroll depth, right? So it's going to ask you whether you want to track the vertical scroll depth or the horizontal. So we want the vertical one, and it's asking what percentages you want to track. So I say maybe I want to capture the 25%, then 50%, 100%, and I want this trigger to fire on all pages. Right. So I'm saving this trigger. Done. So what I'm going to do is let's go and preview this again. Let's go to my website. When I preview this, the tags and triggers that I've deployed. So when I go to my website, the browser is in a new a special environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reload the home page again. You come to this home page, you try and refresh the page, because the tag manager is in preview mode. You have a small debug option, a preview option here. It will show you all the tags and triggers, and see in the page view trigger, you have all these tags. The conversion linker tag that we've discussed in the earlier videos. We've discussed the Facebook pixel, and we've discussed the implementation of GA tracking code and the Google Analytics remarketing as well. But what if I do is if I scroll down, remember we just set up a trigger called scroll depth trigger, and that will trigger every time somebody scrolls down, and it will trigger on all pages, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. So imagine, yeah, I scroll 25% of my page, and you see the trigger was triggered. There was no event, there was no tag that was fired as yet, but there was a trigger. So if you go to variables, the variables will capture the value. So if you come down, you'll find something called threshold is 25. You see, again, if I go back and scroll a little more, you'll find another trigger, which is 20%, 50% maybe, and you find this, the threshold is 50%, and the units are captured in percentage, and the direction is vertical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these variables and put them in triggers and deploy the Google Tag Manager, the Google Analytics using Google Tag Manager. So I'm going to come back here. So I'm going to go to tags, because I want this information to be passed through Google Analytics through Google Tag Manager. So I'm going to set up a new tag. I click on new button here. So I say scroll depth event, and I say GA. So tag configuration is asking me which tag. So I'm selecting Google Analytics. It's asking me whether it's a page view. No, I want to send that event as a the action as an event. So it's asking me the category. The category is important because whenever you set up an event, Google Analytics has to have these three parameters. The first one is category. What category the event is going to be attributed to. So I say it is scroll. It's asking me the action. So what I'll do is I come here, select the action. Now action is, there has to be the value. So when I come back to my website, you see the number. The number is with scroll depth threshold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to use this scroll depth threshold and I'm going to put percentage here because I want the data to be visible as not 25 but 25% in analytics, right? So I'm going to deploy this. I'm going to all pages, and we just set up a trigger. The trigger is scroll depth, and this trigger is set to fire on all pages, and that's an inbuilt trigger, so I haven't done anything. I'm using an inbuilt variable to set up this trigger basically, right? So these are all done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my site. I'm going to refresh my page again. When I'm going to refresh my page again, because already many tags are deployed through Google Tag Manager, so whenever page view happens, it will deploy the Google Analytics, Google Google Ads conversion tracking, Facebook Pixel. You see, yeah. So whenever page view happened, the first thing that was fired were the conversion link attack, Facebook Pixel, geo tracking code. Right now, scroll depth. So you see here, the event was not fired, or maybe I did not save it properly. Let's go back and check it again. Scroll depth event. It's an event scroll depth threshold. You're tracking ID, and I'm reconfirming my scroll depth trigger, 25%, 75, 100%. Yes, it has to fire on all pages. Yes, everything is perfect. Or maybe I can refresh it again. So I go to my home again, try and refresh the page. So it's like a new page view. Again, all these triggers would be fired because there are several tags deployed with the trigger as a page view. So again, if you go and check the first one is the page view. Now when you go to the page view here, you have all these tags. I did not scroll down yet, so I'm going to scroll down. You see the first trigger, which is scroll depth, 25%. Now the event is fired, and when you see that event, you see, yes, it succeeded. The category that was passed as scroll and the action that was fired is 25%. You see, that means everything is set up properly. So what I can do is I can just go to analytics once. Yeah, you see that the real time, there's one person, there's one activity called event, and the category of the event that we defined back in analytics when we were deploying the tag to Google Tag Manager was a scroll, and the event action is 25%. So this is how you capture all these. Now, so what I'm going to do is, because I set up a trigger for 25, 50, and 75 or 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. If I go here till the end, now you see the scroll depth trigger was fired again, and this time it is going to pass a value which is 100%, I think. Yeah, which is 100%. Now if you come back to analytics, it will show you all of them. You see them happening live. So this is how you track the scroll depth using scroll depth triggers and pass them on to analytics using Google Tag Manager. This has become very, very simple. If you're not using Google Tag Manager, again, you have to write codes, you have to go hard code them and change the analytics code. But after the introduction of Google Tag Manager, they become very, very simple. So you can capture all these events using Tag Manager in just 3 steps. And if you can absolutely try this, because this is one of the measures to capture as to what people are doing on the site and how good your content is, whether people are scrolling down maybe to 50%, 25%, 100% to understand how good your content, how effective your content is. And you want to know more about this, you can get connected to our bootcamp, and you can watch other videos on our channel. So this is the channel. I've created videos about the implementation of Facebook purchase event and passing the conversion value. We've discussed about website call conversion tracking in Google Ads using Google Tag Manager. We've learned about button click tracking, and I've taught an overview about the tags, triggers, and variables, and installing Google Analytics using Google Tag Manager. You can watch other videos and stay connected to us. And if you're interested, maybe you can subscribe to our channel to get to know about the other videos that we create. Thank you so much, and I will stay connected to you through other videos. Thank you.